Python has many powerful tools, which makes it one of the most versatile languages as we know for programming today. One such feature is Lambda functions, or we can say Lambda expressions. In this video tutorial, we are going to talk about Lambda function, what they are, how they work, and how they can be defined in Python programming. Hey guys, I'm Anand from More Data Scientist, and in this video, we are going to talk a lot about Lambda expressions. So the first question arises is, what are Lambda functions? Lambda functions are small anonymous functions which can be defined using the keyword lambda. They can take any number of arguments, but they have only one expression. This is how simple we can define lambda function. So let's get it started. First, we are going to work on a basic example of lambda function. In this example, we are going to create a lambda function that is going to add two numbers. So let's get it started. Over here, we are going to say add equal to lambda x and y, and then we are going to say x plus y. Then what we are going to say, result equal to add. We are going to numbers, so we can say 5 and 3, and then we are just going to say print result. Pretty simple. Let's run the code and see the output ourselves. So the output is A. So what's happening in the code? So here we have defined the lambda function with two arguments, that is x and y, and we have only one expression, that is x plus y. We have stored the value of lambda into a variable known as add, which is making all the calculation and returning the value. Then we are just printing the result. This is how simple we can define a lambda function in Python. Now let's move forward, and now we are going to work on lambda functions with higher order functions. So lambda functions can be used with higher order functions such as map, reduce, and filter. So in this example, we are going to create lambda functions really shines with higher order functions such as filter, map, and reduce. So lambda functions, these takes functions as an argument and apply to each and every element in the list or any other iterable. Let's take an example using map and apply a lambda function to it. So over here, we are going to say numbers as a list, and we are going to take 5 elements in that. Then what we are going to do, we are going to take a variable squares, and we are going to apply a map function on that. And then we are just going to say lambda x and x to the power 2, and we are going to pass the list numbers. And then we are just going to say print squares. Okay, that's now a question for you. What would be the output of this code? You can pause the video at any point of time and try to come up with a solution. Okay, now let's first run this code and see the output ourselves. We can see that we are getting back a map object instead of the list. This is because Python is saving memory. So what we need to do, we just need to say list of squares and thus run this code once again. Now we are getting the output. So what's happening? Lambda is making squares of numbers in the list, and the map function is apply the lambda function to each and every element in the list. This is how we can use our functions with the lambda functions. Really simple, guys. Let's move to the next one. Can we sort list of dictionaries with the lambda functions? Let's find it out. Lambda functions can also be used as key function to sort complex elements in a list. So that also includes dictionaries. Let's take an example. So we are going to create a list of dictionaries called students. So over here, I'm going to say students. Then we are going to define dictionaries inside that. So I'm going to say the key would be name. Let's take an example, Alice, and then we are going to say age. We can say age would be 10. Now we are just going to copy it multiple times, and we are going to make a few changes. Alice and Sam, let's take the age to be 9. Then we can say Abby, then we can say age would be 15. And Max, we can say age would be 20. So here we have a list in which the elements are of dictionaries. Now we can use lambda functions on it to sort the list by using any of the keys. For example, we are going to take the age. So how we can do that? We are just going to say students dot sort, then we are going to say key would be lambda x, then we are going to say define by age. Sort the list by taking the age of the dictionaries. Now let's just print list students. Now let's run this code and see the output ourselves. Okay, so okay. Now we can see that our list has been sorted. First we have Sam, then Alice, then Abby, and then Max. So this is how simple we can use any Lambda functions to sort the list, which have complex elements such as a dictionary. So this was really simple, guys. Now we are moving forward with a different one, filtering with Lambda functions. Lambda functions can also be used as filter functions to filter out the elements based on a specific condition. In this example, we are going to filter out all the odd elements in the list. So let's take an example over here. I'm going to say numbers is a list which contains numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then I'm going to say even numbers would be filter. Then we are going to use lambda x. Then what we are going to say, if x modulus 2 equal to 0, just retain them, otherwise just filter out. Then we are going to pass numbers. Then we are just going to say print. We are going to use the keyword list to convert the numbers, even numbers, back into a list. And then let's run the score and see the output. So we can see that we have only two numbers, 2 and 4. This is how simple we can use filtering with Lambda functions. In case we want to get the odd numbers, we can say if not equal to 0, let's run this code, we'll be getting all the odd numbers. So we can see that we are getting 1, 3, and 5. It can be really, so filter functions can be really helpful with a lot of things. We just need to use the proper syntax with a Lambda function. We can also use Lambda functions to create nested functions to create more complex functions. Let's take an example in which we are going to use a Lambda function with a nested Lambda functions. So I'm going to say def multiply, in which I'm going to take a value n, then I'm going to say return lambda x and x into n. Pretty simple. Then I'm going to say doubler equal to multiply 2, and then I'm going to say tripler, that is going to triple the value and multiply 3. Then I'm going to say print doubler 5, and then I'm going to say print tripler 5. Let's run this code and see how the code is working. It is saying multiply is not defined. Now we have defined it. Okay. Now we are getting the output as 10 and 15. So what's happening? We have defined a function multiplier that is returning a lambda function. Then we are using this lambda function to create another function that is doubler and tripler. So this is how nested lambda functions work in Python. So this was really simple, guys. You can add more complexity to your functions if you know the proper syntax and the proper use. So as we have seen, Lambda functions are small functions that you can define if you don't want to define your functions separately. It can help to make your code look easy to read and concise. They help you to make the code look compact. But you have to be conscious. It can also make your life harder if you have defined a lot of complex tasks. So you need to have a perfect balance of brevity and readability. So the only thing you can do is practice a lot. So happy coding, guys.